Crank up the volume and get ready for real-world bird hunting by listening to the Wingmen podcast by Eastman's. Now your host, Todd Helms.
Hey guys, Todd Helms here with another episode of the Wingmen podcast. And I have the pleasure of sitting down and having a conversation with Alex Langbell with Gundog Outdoors. Alex, man, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, brother?
Dude, if I was any better, I'd be dangerous.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. So you and I have been trying to put this together since like November, if I remember correctly. The first time we actually talked on the phone about doing this, I was on an elk hunt, a late season elk hunt, and I had a little bit of cell service, and we started BSing, and it was like, yeah, we need to record this. This is going to be good.
Exactly. In fact, I think I was getting ready to go do my Oregon elk hunt right prior to that. So yeah, that was pretty funny. You were talking about that, and it's good stuff.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah. So we've been trying to do this, and then with duck season ramping up there in December for everybody, it's just it can be hard to touch base and get everybody squared away. And
yeah,
but I appreciate you taking some time and sitting down with us after everything's said and done now.
Well, season's over, right?
Yeah. Right. We still got a late goose. I've been out bombing around looking for birds. I cleaned out a couple of duck blinds this morning, actually. Clean up trash and empty hulls and just pick it up, and make sure your landowners stay happy, and haul decoys. And we're finally getting some weather. It's supposed to drop into the single digits here, and it's starting. You could feel it. It's starting to snow a little bit. So I'm kind of hoping that'll kick some of those birds in Montana in the butt and get them down here to where we can shoot at them. But man, the geese they've been here since like October, and they got PhDs, man.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's pretty tough when you start hammering the same geese over and over and over. I've seen it where those big birds, or any birds for that matter, you hammer so much they won't even land with live geese.
That's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. I was watching them yesterday morning. I came in, I dropped my little girl off at school, and I was like, before I go to the office, I'm going to run out and drink a cup of coffee and watch where I know they're going. Yeah. And that's exactly what they did. They would come over, make a loop high, and then they looked like they were all landing together in a big group. But once you got over and you got like parallel with them, so you could see, they're all 50 yards apart, and they're in little family groups. Some of them would hit the dirt, they'd make a big pass, and they'd go and they'd land like 200 yards away in the dirt. Yeah. And they immediately would sit down. It's like they needed to rest from that long flight that, from the river. Yeah, it was like a half mile, but whatever. They'd sit there. Yeah, they'd sit there and chill, and then they'd get up and either fly into the barley stubble or they'd walk into the barley stubble. And I'm looking at it going, I got a perfect place to put an A-frame right there in that grass strip, or they're not going to see me. And the hide's awesome, but I don't know if I could decoy them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's tough, man. I've tried a lot of different things, tricks. With those big ones, they're so dang lazy. A lot of times you really got to get on that call just to get them right into the decoy range. I've learned also, if you have a big field and you're set up on the far end of it and they're coming from the other end of it, a lot of times they're going to be so lazy, they'll land short of you. So it's almost better to be a lot closer to where they're get in that field. So a lot of little tricks I've tried, and it's worked where you almost like hitting them on the circle, you pushing the decoys out maybe 40, 50 yards out where you wouldn't really shoot them, but as they're circling around, you kind of get them in the cross, as they cross. So a lot of those throwing out. And this is crazy. When I used to guide, I would take out guys like anywhere from 5 to 7 guys, and we'd hunt pits. And these are little lessers we hunt. We get so dang smart. They're smart first of all, but
I hate hunting those things.
Yeah, right. And so I'd be like, okay, guys, go out and grab one decoy, your favorite decoy. And they're like, what? And I say, yeah, we're hunting over 7 decoys today. Go grab whichever. and we'd smash them. But that's, they get so used to landing with or getting shot over the typical 10 dozen, 12 dozen decoys that you just got to start throwing out. Now I know guys like my friends in Colorado, wherever, they're throwing out ridiculous numbers of decoys to hunt these. Almost 1,000 decoys, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
So,
that's, man, you hit the nail on the head there. And I think a lot of guys they'll get into goose hunting and they'll get crazy about it for a few years. And then I see a lot of guys dropping out of it after 5 or 6 years because they burn out and they get up like, man, I don't want to get up at 3 a.m. to set decoys for 2 hours. It's like, oh, it just kills you, and you got a trailer full of stuff and you're hauling it around. And I mean, I've got to the point with geese here, and this year's been an exception because we haven't had, the birds have stalled out north of us. I mean, they're and the guys in Montana are saying the same thing. Their birds are further north yet. And it's like, we just haven't had the weather. Now, like I said, single digits, spitting snow, and we're high desert here. And so we're just shy of 5,000 feet and it is bone dry. The only reason we have birds is the river and there's agriculture along the river. That's it. But, so we've got to have, so if it's spitting snow here north of us in Montana, it's probably snowing pretty good. So this weekend could be good. You keep an eye on it, but that's what you need. Like you said, those birds get lazy, they get stale, and they get where they can do whatever they want. And really it takes snow and cold to force them to, and it shuffles the deck. All of a sudden it's like you go from birds that you can't do anything with to now you can kill them. You get a good day and you can just smash them. So that's what we're hoping to close up with. Yeah.
And they have to, that pressure, that snow, the cold, they have to stay, they need energy. They need to eat. That's a little bit more panic in them. Throws them off. All the things change in their environment. They kind of get lost in a little bit and they panic a little bit. Their food's getting covered up. So it's just, sometimes you just got to pick and choose what days you're going to go out. And hey, sometimes it's better to maybe go out. If it's 50 degrees out and warm, maybe go grab your fishing rod.
I agree completely. We were just sitting around the office talking about it, and it's like, man, maybe we ought to put the drift boats in the river and do some fly fishing because this is getting ridiculous. And the weather's gorgeous. It's 50 degrees, it's sunny, and I'm like, yeah, we should be fishing instead of worrying about hunting. And when the weather changes, if it changes in time, I think we got 2 weekends left. So 2 good weeks of solid weeks of lake goose, and then it's done, and it's on to fly fishing and chasing predators for the rest of the winter. Go. But
perfect.
So you're out. You're in Washington, correct?
I am. I'm in Central Washington. I'm in the Columbia Basin. I'm right in the heart of the Pacific Flyway, one of the major staging areas of the Pacific Flyway. We get everything come through here. Snow geese, big Canadas. We get all the different species of subspecies, like the lessers, Dabners and all that stuff. And we get every kind of puddler duck, and we get divers through our rivers of Columbia. So it's a fantastic area to hunt, and just a lot of opportunities to season. You got the Pacific Flyway, which is a long season, over 100 days.
Right.
You can go out and hunt sea ducks out in the Sound or the ocean. You can come inland and hunt the dryland wheat for all sorts of big geese and all that stuff. So it's a really diverse, cool area.
That's awesome. Yeah, we just had Black Baker here from Black Rifle Coffee. Was in this last week, and he talks about hunting out there quite a talked. He and I visited quite a bit about that, and I've never hunted out there, but it sounds like a paradise.
Yeah, it is. It was kind of under the radar for a long time. It doesn't have the Arkansas and the numbers and stuff like that. But again, the versatility, the length of the season, you just the opportunities. I mean, in my region, I live more on the east side of the state, where it's a lot more agriculture, a little bit more snow. It's not as wet as on the west side of the state. But over on the west side, you still got late season goose going on. You got it's just there's a lot of opportunities, like I said. So
yeah, that's awesome. I see the fishing rods hanging up behind your head, and looks like you're speaking of fishing. Yeah, it looks like you're rigged and ready to go.
Yep. We got some big walleye coming through this Columbia River. I mean, we're fishing last week in between hunts, and we're pulling out 8 to 10 pounders.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, those are studs. That doesn't bode well for your salmon returns though. And they're
No,
sitting there eating all your salmon fry. They're trying to get back to the ocean.
yeah, and that's a big thing. The game department, they opened it up for walleye here in the rivers, and they said pretty much no limit, no size, go for it, guys. But the river's so dang healthy, and it's just, I mean, the state records keeps getting broke, and it's just, I mean, it's just ridiculous the size. And we get guys from the Midwest come out here, and they're just absolutely blown away the quality of the fish we have. And you know, it's a really neat region. The problem is with this state, like many of the other states, is just too many people moving here. too many people living. You know, like I've got kids sleeping out in the public, and I'm too old to be sleeping out at midnight trying to grab my goose spot in the public or my duck spot. So
Right. That public land stuff, and it is nationwide. I don't care where you hunt. If you're hunting public, I don't care what flyway it is, man. I mean, I grew up doing some of that public stuff back in Michigan, and I mean sleeping in duck boats on Saginaw Bay.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like we're 2 miles out on this reef someplace to get set up for opening day, and you're sleeping in your boat, so you get a spot. You know, it's crazy, and it's yeah, it's crazy. And you look at that and go, I'm 42 years old. I don't want to do that anymore.
Oh, my bed's warm. My wife's warm.
Yeah, right. It's like no, ain't gonna happen. But yeah, man, I give props to those kids that are out there. I say kids or guys in their 20s. You know, they're young guns and young bloods, and they are getting after it.
Oh,
okay. And a lot of them are killers. I mean, they flat out get it done on a regular basis. But what it takes to do what they do now, compared to when, I don't know how old you are, but I'm guessing we're fairly similar in age. You didn't have to do that stuff. It was like you showed up 30 minutes before shooting light and walked in your spot, threw out some decoys, and killed birds. And it's not like that anymore.
They work in teams. I got young guys who work in teams. So they'll go out and they'll go, okay, this is your night. You go out and you grab the spot and you spend the night. And then, you know, a couple nights later, they'll go out because the river is all public. So they'll just work it. And you're right. These kids, we've taught them well. You know, they blow a duck call like better than they can speak sometimes.
Second language.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, like you said, kudos to them. And that's what we need. We don't need to be, distant, keeping them out of the industry, because we're taking hits from all sides. So we got to encourage young hunters, all sorts of hunters, you know, old, young, men, women, anyone to get in the sport and continue doing what we do, because you know the fight we're fighting. I don't have to tell you.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, you know. And it's like when you get a chance to take not just kids, because it's like kids don't have like kids like teenagers. A lot of them, they don't have the resources to do it on their own. But You're looking at these younger guys that are in their 20s, maybe in college or finishing up or just out of college, and they've got the vehicle, they've got maybe some time, they've got a little bit of money to sink into it. Those are the guys I think that fall through the cracks a lot of times, because they get to places. It's like, what are you doing here? This is my spot. And that's the wrong attitude. You know, It's like either, okay, you were here first, I'm going to go, you got it, man. Good job. I'm going to go down here. Or maybe you're here first, they show up. Hey, if you got room, jump in.
Yeah, exactly.
Jump in. I mean,
exactly. Teach them some etiquette. Teach them the etiquette of hunting. And that's one thing I've noticed about some of the youth is they that's kind of missing in some of their stuff. They need to learn not to, you know, you don't bring all your friends to your secret spot. If someone brings you there, you don't tell all your friends about your secret spot. You don't go downwind someone when you're setting up 50 yards. There's just certain etiquette when a bird's working you and you're down close to them. Don't be calling them off there. Don't be shooting. I mean, work together. You know, there's enough birds out there for the most part where we all can have a successful hunt and have a good time and learn. And that's the biggest thing I've really seen is we really need to educate more on the etiquette. Because, you know, just like my grandfather taught me, and I'm sure your parents taught you, is there's certain etiquette to hunting, and whether it be waterfowl, deer, or whatever, and it's just the unwritten rules on certain things that we know. You and I take it for granted, but it's the young folks that aren't necessarily have been taught that because maybe their parents don't hunt, or they just a bunch of guys, a group of young guys who don't really understand it yet, and they're going out and they're hunting together and they're learning together, but they don't have that old salt guy teach them, well, don't go out and jump up the roost, don't shoot up the roost, simple things like that you and I take for granted. So
no, I think you're absolutely right, and I it's no fault of theirs because they don't know any better, but I do believe that it falls on us, the guys that have been doing it for a while, to be like, hey, take those guys under your wing, have those candid conversations. Otherwise you end up with, man, I hate to even say it, but you end up with situations like you have at Reelfoot Lake.
Oh, heartbreaking.
2 weeks ago.
Heartbreaking.
The whole waterfowl community is like scratching their heads like, how in the world does it come to this?
Yes.
Somebody takes a crack at swing ducks and you go blast them with you go, I don't get it.
No, I don't either. And it's not fight in a blind or harsh words, in a blind. And it's like, you're right. What you said earlier about working together and understanding, and it's not worth it. It's not worth the confrontation. There's no duck worth anyone's life. And so, just, I don't know. Some people just get a little out of control. So it's so sad.
Well, and I think there's a lot of frustration this year in particular with everything. Tempers are high right now, man. Fuses are short between like what you said when we got on the phone initially, with COVID hanging on, and it's wrecked a lot of people's plans. Yep. I'm trying to put a snow goose hunt together in next month in March or in April in the Dakotas, and basically I don't know if it's going to happen. I obviously we don't have a lot of white geese here. We just don't get them, so I don't have the rig to do it, and I'm not gonna put that kind of money into something that I'm never going to use. So it's like, you find an outfitter, you hire an outfitter, and you go. It's worth the money. It's worth it.
Yep, absolutely.
And so talking to these guys, and it's like, I may or may not be able to get you in because all those COVID cancellations from last year. Well, guess what? Yep. I'm having to squeeze those guys in this year, and guys are jam packed, and I get it. I completely get it. So you couple that shows short fuses because of COVID, and then I'm not going to get into politics, but whatever side of the political spectrum you happen to fall on, it's frustrating for everybody right now. Just
absolutely.
So, I mean, and then you throw in like that situation down there, misunderstanding, or just not thinking, not using your head, and bad stuff happens, and it's ugly, and it's a shame.
It is. It's too bad. Unfortunate.
Yeah. But I do think you're right. You gotta, you take some of those younger guys under your wing, and you teach them right from wrong. You teach them those ethics, you teach them those values, and hopefully they stick, and it's the same thing in the world of big game. If you're looking at big game stuff, you don't poach a guy's spot knowingly. You don't, and you see it all the time. Hunting is competitive. It's gotten to be the point where it's competitive, whether it's bird hunting or whether it's big game, whitetails, turkeys, because there's even with numbers declining, that we keep hearing numbers are declining, there's a lot of pressure on the resource. And so it's like, I got to get mine, forget you, and I agree with you. I think there's lots of game, there's lots of birds, work together, enjoy it. Okay. So maybe you don't shoot a limit today.
Yeah. If
you took somebody under your wing and they got a couple of birds that they normally wouldn't have had success, that's a win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And we get to the point, you and I, and a lot of the older hunters, where limits really don't matter. It's more about just getting out and having fun, and, and then getting new people. I get more excited. Like, I took out my stepdaughter for the first time, not a real hunter, got her all situated, took her out. I had more fun just watching her giggle, shooting ducks and just learning. And she's just hooked. She can't wait to come hunting with me again. And I'm just so, that's just so rewarding to me as a hunter and as a dad and as a human, to see the excitement in other people. And so I just, for those of us who seem to get bored or something, like you said, take out someone who's young, take out a vet, take out anyone. There's tons
of people to do it with. And it's hard too, because you get in the teeth of the season. And like for us, this year was tough because it's like I had to make the most of every time that I had to be able to produce my contracted content for our webisode series. It's like I got to get stuff filmed.
Yeah.
And so I can't always grab, so there's sometimes we just put in a hunt that we put together at the end of December. We had a big push of birds and the conditions were right. And we were able to get a kid in the blind. It was and it was awesome. We had a great time and we were able to actually do it all. But man, other times it's like guys want to go, but then if say you're hunting their spot, well, they don't want that on camera, which I completely understand 100%.
Yeah.
So it can be tough, but we try really hard to get as many different folks out in the blinds as we can. Group of us last year, guys from here took our daughters out, and I mean little girls.
Yeah.
And that was a kick in the pants, man. That video is my favorite video that we've done. It was a ball.
Yeah.
It was cool.
The seed you plant by taking out young individuals is you don't even realize what that can do to the youth. And I don't know how many young hunters I've got started into the sport. And I mean, good Lord, look at my daughter, Sierra. She's out of control.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason that was one of the reasons we've been waiting on this, is we tried to get both you guys on at the same time, and you can't pin that girl down.
No.
She's off chasing big game like all over the world,
She is. She's crazy.
I love it.
And all it started with was just taking her out when she was really young, put her in the goose blind, just getting her experience and stuff. And I didn't even have to try real hard. And next thing you know, she's just absolutely obsessed with it. And she's just a gal who's just very confident and very good at what she does. She doesn't need anyone to take her out. She goes out on her own. She went out and she's smart. She understands that if you're going to go, sometimes you have to go with a guide because you're paying that guide for their experience and their scouting ability, their understanding. You don't have the time to go to Mexico and find the big buck, go pay someone to go do that, find the buck for you. But she'll go out, and like last year, she went out, spent the night, a couple of nights in her truck. She slept there and she bow hunted pronghorn, and she ended up killing a really nice pronghorn by herself, just running around in the corn, ambushing it. It was just phenomenal. So she's the real deal. Like I look forward to you getting her on here, and I can bust her chops about some of the
We'll definitely do it. It's just she's so busy that, man, pinning her down is a task.
It is.
I love it. Well, I hope that my daughters take to that the same way. I've had my oldest is pretty rabid. Her thing, Grandpa bought her a 22 a couple of years ago, and she's finally big enough to like shoot it for real, not just like pull the trigger. She can actually shoot it and hit stuff.
Nice.
And she wants to shoot a cottontail rabbit so bad. And you think we could find any bunnies? Our bunny cycle's like bottomed out right now. There are like no rabbits around. The only rabbits around are in town. And I'm like, no, can't do that. We could shoot that one, Daddy. I'm like, no. But so we've been out several times. The weather's been too nice to really hunt ducks. So it's like, and geese. I was like, well, let's go look for a rabbit. You think we could turn one of those little things up? Nah. No. So it's like, I'll get her in the goose blind here, like I did. And they've been with me on a bunch of different hunts and with their mom hunts. And I hope that I can carry that over and create that passion. Guy Eastman said that when we all had our daughters out, he was with us and he had his little girl out and we were doing something and the kids were having a ball. And it was good. There were lots of birds. I think we killed 15 or 16 geese that day, which was good. But that's not what it was about, It was about just going out and having a good time. And Absolutely. We did. We had a ball. But he said, he called it. He's like, man, this is when you have to get those kids hooked when they're little. Yep. So they grow up doing it. Because if you wait until they're 10, 12, 13 years old, it's too late. There's too much competition there's too many different things competing for their attention, whether it's athletics or who knows. I mean,
friends,
a zillion different things, video games. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
You got to get them hooked on it when they're little.
Yeah. Yeah. My friend, Lee Jose, I'm sure you know Lee. He's, yeah. So Lee told me, great point. He'd tell me that if the mother hunts, pretty much the entire family hunts. That's how important the women are to our sport, to getting them, making sure. And so it makes a lot of sense. You know, the mother, if she's hunts, the whole family hunts. So,
that's interesting. That's a really interesting. I shouldn't say I know Lee. I know of Lee when I think we, but I've never actually met him. So
he's a great guy.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I just haven't had the pleasure of meeting him. But, it's interesting when we do with the Eastman's Big Game, the hunting journals, we look at like women are a pretty small percentage of our subscribers. But if you look at the number of women in the magazines, there's issues when I'm like, no, I got to put her in the next one because I got too many women in this. People are going to start thinking, what is this? You guys just putting women in the magazine, But it's, what we've got is, maybe dad or husband or boyfriend, whoever, they're the subscriber, but the women are consuming that content as well. They're still hunting. It's obvious. We just got the mule deer issue out and I got an advanced copy of it. And I've got 3 ladies in there that have killed monster bucks. Wow. And it's like, they're obviously a big part of this, and they're the fastest growing segment, and you still don't see a ton of them in the field comparatively. At least we don't, but they're doing it. They're out there. And I think he's right. If you get mom hooked, which my wife is an avid hunter, and the kids are going to follow suit because it's just what we do as a family.
You're not by yourself. You're going hunting with the family. The family's going hunting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We don't go to the mall or we don't go do this on weekends. We're in the woods, whether we're hunting, we're fishing, we're cutting wood, we're going for hikes in the mountains. You name it, we're doing it. And it's just an expectation, and they love it. They love it. So
such a healthier lifestyle too. Sitting in the concrete cities or driving around, going to the mall, and I don't know, just being out in nature and taking that whole thing in, and it's just good for the soul.
I think so. I agree 100%. 100%. All right. So Alex, I don't know what in the world happened right there, but we were laughing. We got dropped all of a sudden. We just were gone. And I think it just has to do with our wonderful technology advancements here in the Mountain West. Once you get east of the Continental Divide and west of the Missouri, it's anybody's guess as to what you're going to get for technology. So
perfect.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. Anyway, we were talking about your company, Gundog Outdoors, and you just started to give us a rundown on what that is, what that looks like. And so go ahead and dive back into that.
Well, it's funny. I started a company about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. Actually, 3 years ago, I came up with the first product. It's kind of my flagship product I came up with. It's actually patented. It's a system that, one day I was sitting in a duck blind, and the flight was a little slow, and I'm looking at my hunting partners, and they both have their dogs, and we have to tie our dogs up just because they're trained well, but they break, and we just don't want to mess with it. One dog's always faster, or one dog leaves and the other one leaves, so we just end up tying them up. So I came with this idea of, well, what if you had a system that just you could adjust it to where you keep their head in the blind, where you could release it instantaneously by pulling the cord. And so I kind of threw some stuff together, and I came up with this prototype. I field tested it and came up with my quick release safety system. And that kind of after that, I just started focusing on other products. That was really successful. I get emails all the time from people saying how it's helped change their hunting, because now they don't have to focus on watching their dog break. And I know some guys are like, well, you should just train your dog not to break. Well, that's a lot easier said than done. You got a lot of professional trainers who can't even train. That have a hard time training certain dogs just because they're so high strung. So,
and once you have a dog that starts, once that starts, it's almost impossible to get them to stop.
Correct. And you start throwing another dog in competition,
Right.
and all the shows I do, guys would come up and tell me about a dog they know, or a dog getting shot every time.
Oh,
And
man. All right. So the second round of technical difficulties, I'm not exactly sure what in the world is going on, but Alex, you talking about your quick release dog?
I thought I was just that boring. You were just like,
no. Talking about problems you can't train out right there. Good grief. That's one of them. Oh my gosh. But yeah. So anyway, you came up with this product to help guys with dogs that are, you know, and it's a real world thing. You know, I completely agree. Guys are going to say all the time, oh, you need to be training your dog better. Okay, agreed. We can agree on that. Everybody can agree on that. But in the real world, especially when you throw other dogs in the mix, my 8-year-old lab, when it's just the two of us, he's steady as a rock. He won't break. He's fine. You throw another dog in the mix, he's gone. As soon as the guns go off, he is gone. And I just tell guys, look, it's going to happen. He's not going to do it every single time. Like, I can keep him. I can control him.
Yeah.
But I have to pay attention to what's going on. And honestly, in what a lot of the stuff we hunt out here, we don't have the luxury of letting a dog wait to go get birds, because they're falling in a really fast river and they're gone. So having him be a little quick out of the starting gate isn't necessarily a bad thing for me. Now in fields, I need him rock solid. I need him rock solid. And that's kind of what your product is designed to do.
Yeah, it was designed to pretty much keep a dog steady in the blind, and also you can use it. And I get a lot of guys doing this, using it to train your dog, especially your young dog, and also to use it as a reinforcement tool if you're just not certain. Say and I'm going to Canada, you got 8 guys in a blind, you don't know their skill level. You're in layout blinds, you got birds landing. 50, 100 birds landing. That's a lot of pressure on a young dog. You have to worry about him. You might be like me, who has to call him a shot, and I got to worry about this young dog. So there's just a lot of benefit. Yeah, there's a lot of benefit to this tool. We've been so successful. I get emails, letters all the time from guys and gals saying how it's just completely helped them change their hunting. So it's just a great product. And then I kind of all of a sudden just started coming up with ideas and realized that there wasn't a lot of companies out there that's focused on the safety of hunting dogs and gun dogs. I mean, they make training products, and there's companies that make a dog vest, but are they really focused on doing that? So that's kind of been the idea behind my company. Is all my products that we make now are products that are designed for the comfort and the safety of hunting dogs, like our field trauma kit. I'm a firefighter for 25 years. I've had hunting dogs for my entire life since I was a small child. I understand. I've seen every kind of injury that can happen to a dog and a human. Gunshots, puncture wounds, ripped open barbed wire fences, everything. So I put together essentially a first aid kit that I personally, as an EMT, which you're not a vet. Well, a wound is a wound. You stop the bleeding, you treat it and make sure it doesn't get infected. You take it to a vet. So, I understand this. I've treated dogs. So that's what I kind of put this no nonsense kit together. And it's been so successful on that. And a couple other things, came up with a water bottle for dogs. Like a lot of times people forget, you got to water the dog. You got to feed a dog. That's energy. There's just so many important things. I mean, number one killer for dogs, working dogs, canine dogs, canine cops is hyper, heat stroke, just getting overheated. And so that's just, some of the things that I'm really focused on with the company. We're coming out with designing a new vest right now that should be, I don't want to go into too much great detail, but it should be a pretty awesome vest that is it's not only has the features of being keeping them warm and comfortable, but also some features of keeping them safe from, puncture wounds and possibly even getting shot at a distance. So
right, man, you talk about those vests, and so I've been the vest I'm running right now. I've been running for about 3 years, and the zipper finally ripped out of it. Like there was no
Bingo.
fixing it.
Bingo.
But it was kind of like, okay, But I got 3 solid years out of that vest. And before that, I was running them. And after a year, not a year, I mean, a season, they'd be done.
Yeah.
And my dog, he's hard charger, you know, he doesn't let stuff stand in his way. And I made the mistake of asking my wife to sew up one of his vests, like a seam popped.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, you just got to sew the seam back together and then I'll aqua seal it, you know, and good to go. Right.
Yep.
Well, she's looking, you know, this is her baby. And
Mm-hmm.
she's looking at this vest that's 3 years old, and it is covered in puncture wounds and cuts and abrasions, you know, and she looks at me and she goes, I don't want to know what he would look like if he wasn't wearing this thing.
Yep.
And I said, yeah, and this is a lab with a thick coat, you know, that the stuff really, that the vest probably takes a little more abuse because of the soft fabric on it than his hide does, because it's a lot of that stuff wouldn't get to him because of his coat. But, you know, there's just a lot. I look at that thing and go, man.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know how many scabs and scars he's got on his skin.
Yeah.
You know,
they don't think about going like you and I going through a fence. They don't realize what the dangers are running through a field or corn stalks, how dangerous a corn stalk can be. I've seen dogs get impaled with corn stalks.
Yes.
So, you know, it's just, those are things that are in the real world you have to worry about. And a lot of guys, like just launching the aid kit last year, I just got a message in social media today, a dog wrapped up with our aid kit and thanking us for providing a quality product. And so that's, you know, I'm not sitting here trying to make a stale pitch, but it's just, I being in the fire service for 25 years, treating all sorts of people, and I'm the training officer, safety officer for the department. Safety is just kind of ingrained in my mindset, you know, we're all worried about the safety of the hunters and stuff, but sometimes we forget about the safety of the dog. You know, don't shoot directly over your dog, like at point blank, because you're going to make them deaf or her deaf.
Yep.
That's things that we need to, I'm trying to get across. I put that in a lot of our videos, our social media stuff, and just things, just letting people know, you know, really trying to get that message across, you know, just doing my share. Like, I've been in this industry for almost 20 years now, and I've seen a lot of crazy stuff that goes on with hunting. You know, I did 2 TV shows. I produced A Foul Life, and I produced a Grind Waterfowl TV. And so traveling all over the country, hunting with all the different hunters and outfitters and seeing some of the stuff, it's just like really opened my eyes to what we need to do, at least what I can do my part in it. So that's kind of where the company, our main focus is. And it's been doing so well. I'm so happy with where it's at. And honestly, it was just kind of grown out of just a need, you know, just something that I saw. And people are genuine, you know, they see it, you know, they understand that. So,
well, that was one of the things when I first saw your company. I think I probably saw it on social media someplace, probably Instagram. And I went, that's a great idea. It was one of those things where I looked at it and went, damn it. Why didn't I think of that? You know?
What do you think the first thing I did is I went to the patent office?
Yeah, exactly. But it's because we've all been doing stuff like that forever, but we've been putting them together ourselves.
Yes.
You know, and some guys, that can be daunting though, because you look at it and go, well, I'm not a vet. Can I use quick clot on my dog? Yep. You know, can I do this? What exactly do I need? Because if I put together this huge, basically EMS kit, I've got to carry that too. I need something that's basically like you hit the nail on the head. You need something that's going to stabilize your dog and treat them in the field so you can get them to the vet before they bleed out.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And I looked at that kit and I thought, that's awesome. That is absolute genius.
Yeah.
I've been blessed. I haven't had any, you know, major catastrophes with my dogs, but I know a lot of people who do. I mean, a lot of people. And it's like, holy smokes, you're lucky you even have a dog, you know what I mean? Let alone, just craziness.
We're filming a TV show. This was the Grind. We were in the second season. We were hunting the Missouri River up in South Dakota, filming that. and it was cold, really cold. And one of the guys I hunt with, his dog was retrieving, but it was cold. He had no vest, anything. And I just started looking at that dog, and I was telling him, I said, hey man, your dog's not doing so well. Not because I can spot it. And finally I'm like, you need to, man, it doesn't want to go out. Don't make it go out. And finally, it pretty much gave up. And I was like, hey man, you better go get your dog right now. Sure, he waited out and he got it, and then he picked it up, he carried it back to the blind, it went into full seizures. I'm like, good Lord. Yeah. So luckily with my training, I knew, you get it next to some heat. And I always, from now on, I always carry a heater with me wherever I go. I throw it in a little bag. It's one of those little or Mr. Buddy heaters with a one propane thing. I mean, that's a lifesaver right there. So even, wherever. So had that with us, got it warmed, got back to normal, got the body temperature back up, the seizure stopped. But, that's something if you didn't have heat, that dog would have died. There's no question. We were in a boat in the middle of the Missouri River.
Yep.
And so those are the things that I'm trying to educate people on, and understanding that these are still a living creature. They still have a body core temperature that can't go below a certain temperature. They still have a blood circulating through their body that needs to remain there. And so just that's kind of the idea behind like I said, the whole thing. And the kit is we even have I have a hot pack and emergency pack in the kit, to where if the dog does get in there, you can activate that hot pack, put it on the belly, wrap it up in that emergency blanket till you can get it to the vet, even if you don't have a heater. So even those little things, there's no aid kit that has that's designed for hunting dogs, so
right.
Yeah. So, and we've got a dog canine.
That's crazy. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of stuff in that pack that I just looked at and went, wow. And you talk about the guy with the dog, there was probably a couple things going on there. And I've experienced similar situations, because here, when are our seasons out here in the Mountain West? They're late. When is the best bird hunting? When it's cold, and it's like, man, I have a personal rule that if it's 0 or colder, I find something else to do. I won't put my dog in the water when it's like that. And they're tough, man, and they'll take a lot of beating, but it's like, I've had my dog, the lab I have now, I've had him do 2 things on me. The first time, the seizure thing that happened, I thought it was the first thing, he got hypothermic on me. And it was a long day after he'd done a bunch of retrieves, cold water, and I had the truck running. He was in I got him warmed up, got him home. You could just tell that core temp was low.
Yep.
And I got him next to the wood stove, and we got him warmed up. I put him in a warm shower, all those things, and I got that core temp back up. And he didn't do the seizure thing. I'm betting money that dog that you're talking about was suffering from a little bit of hypothermia and some hypoglycemia.
Absolutely.
That's what happened with my dog. The second time is he had these little shakes going.
Mm-hmm.
Like just really, and they were just mini seizures. And it's good. And I'm looking at this, and as a coach, I'm going, he's freaking bonking.
Yeah.
He's bonking. He doesn't have any gas in the tank whatsoever. Yep. And his body's shutting down.
Yep.
And I called my vet and I said, this is what's going on. Do I need to bring him to you? And he goes, you know what? Do you have any candy bars with you? And I thought, yeah, chocolate. You can't give a dog chocolate. He goes, as long as it's milk chocolate, give it to him. Well, I had all those little fun-sized Snickers bars.
Yeah, yeah.
And I fed him. He's like, don't give him a bunch of them, but give him 1 or 2. And when he perks back up, just watch him. He's like, you can bring him in if you want, but I mean, it's Wyoming. This is a long ways, it's a long drive. But he's like, that should square him away, because what you're telling me, what I think is going on is this hypoglycemia. And I went, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I've watched athletes do this. I've watched track athletes at the end of a long day. You got a kid that runs a bunch of long distance relays and then turns around and has to go run the 2 mile or the mile, and they're done at the end. They bonk. Yeah. And especially if they haven't eaten, don't have a good meal, whatever. And I'm watching this and I'm going, that's what's going on. I gave him a Snickers bar, little ones, little fun size ones, right? Yep. Kind you get at Halloween. And he ate it. A little bit of improvement. I popped him another one and he went, He was like a new dog. It was like right as rain. And then I was able to get him home. And again, I got him warm. I got him, and then I got some real food in him with some warm water in it, you know, and some fats, and he was fine. But if you'd have told, you know, the vet telling me, yeah, give him a candy bar. I'm like, well, you can't give a dog chocolate. And he's like, as long as it's milk chocolate, you're fine. He's like, if the dark chocolate's what you got to watch, you can't give them that. And there's a whole list of that stuff. But having the ability to have a kit there, like I think back on when that day, if I would have been like in your case in a boat where I had to run that thing back someplace, that hot pack comes in real handy. You know, you can rip that kit open and boom, you got it right there. Wrap them up in a blanket of some sort with a hot pack, and you could save your dog's life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know there's no question in my mind, just for the feedback that I've already gotten from hunters who've used the kit, that eventually it will save a dog's life. There's no doubt in my mind. So it's pretty cool. It's a really good feeling. You feel really good, you know, when you sell the product, you know, and you're not just ripping people, or not, I shouldn't say ripping people off, but you're not just selling a product that's junk. You feel good about it. You feel good about promoting it. And it's just a really easy mission goal to get behind, you know. It's just like,
right.
And so it's been fun so far, and I'm just watching it grow, and it seems like it's just nonstop. I mean, I'm getting phone calls now and emails from companies who want to work with me and promote, and it's really humbling, you know. And it helps I've been in the industry for a while, but to see this, actually, that's something that's mine, because I've always worked for other companies, starting off, you know, 20 years ago in the Avery Pro staff and Zinc Calls Pro staff, and just working my way up in the industry, always making money for other companies. And so now this is actually my company. I'm the sole owner, you know, myself and my wife, and just to see it grow, and it's just fun. It really is. And so
good for you. That's awesome. Yeah. You know, I like I said, I looked at that product and immediately went, that's a slam dunk. I mean, that's a home run right there. And I think part of it is guys are, and it's no different than putting together a med kit for people, you know, for our backcountry hunts, where if you don't have the background or have the knowledge, I mean, yeah, you can get on YouTube and find a zillion different videos, whatever, but man, it's nice to have a resource that I can go, okay,
yeah,
there's videos that go with this or whatever.
Yeah,
this is it. If nothing else, you know, maybe I want to add to some of the things in here, do whatever.
Yep.
But at least I don't have to start from scratch.
No.
You know, I think it's genius. I think it's great. And
yeah, I got a manual I put in there that goes over almost all the injuries that can happen, signs and symptoms, how to treat it, what to do afterwards. So I've really thought it out, you know, and really, and again, like I mentioned, that's all stuff that I've used as an EMT on patients. This is medical grade stuff that's not garbage, that I have used and proven. We still use it, and you can use it on your hunt partner if something was to happen. I had one gal
double dip.
Yeah, she used it on herself. So I was like, that's fantastic. So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Have you worked with a vet at all, or vets at all to kind of like,
absolutely,
like you talk about your manual? I would imagine you researched that and did some.
I vet everything through my vet, and she's really good. She works at the university here, and so everything that I do, I make sure I confirm with her that it's okay with the dog. You know, like I said, a wound is a wound, but there are still certain things that you still got to be careful of, because they are a little, you know, size and stuff like that, and what they can eat, like you're talking about, what they can take. But I just make sure everything's vetted through there, and I say it on my manual and stuff like that. It's all approved by a veterinarian and so stuff like that. So
no, that's cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you are getting ready. You said you're almost ready to retire. You got like a month and a couple days, right?
Well, I misspoke. I got till the end of June.
Oh, well, so you're still short. You're still short timing it.
Very short.
No, good for you. That is awesome. But you're in Washington right now, but you're kicking around the idea of pulling up stakes.
I am. I'm actually coming, thinking about moving closer to you.
Ooh, that could be dangerous.
I know, right? Well, I've hunted all over the country. I really have, and I just, I I lived in Montana when I was younger for a long time. Every time I go back there, I really enjoy it. I want to. And so I know it sounds like everyone's moving to Montana and Wyoming, but they are. I mean, it's a fact. They're trying to get away from all the ding dongs. And I'm sorry if I offend anyone, but some of the ding dongs on the coast. And so, they're just making some silly rules. I'm concerned about our guns and some of the agendas they have. And so I just kind of decided I want to get a little piece of land. So I've been looking. I got good friends over there, and I'm thinking about moving to eastern Montana. So,
cool.
And in fact, I'm thinking about we're moving to eastern Montana.
Cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, and I think from what you told me earlier, you're not going to be very far away. So we're definitely going to have to jump in a boat or blind or something together.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
That's cool. Yeah, Montana, the West in general is a special place, but my wife and I vacation in Montana a lot. We do quite a bit of shopping. That's the closest Costco to us is in Montana, and I personally try to do as much local stuff as I possibly can, but man, there's times raising a family, it's like we need a Costco run, and so run up there and do that, and that's not too far. And summer times, we have different things we like to do up there, and I always joke it's kind of like Wyoming and Montana are siblings. They may not love each other, but they get along, It's you go further to the south and Wyoming and Colorado, not so much. They think we're idiot hillbillies up here, and we think they're a bunch of greenies, and it's like, whatever. Whatever. It's funny how that works, but in the end, everybody, especially if you're an outdoorsman, you're a hunter, especially a waterfowler, man, we're all trying to do the same stuff and appreciate the same things. And
that's right.
Yeah, you won't go wrong living in Montana, especially eastern Montana. It's pretty neat over there.
Yeah, like I said, I've filmed a couple of TV shows there. I've got friends. I still have good friends who live over there, and it just makes sense to me. I've really enjoyed Washington State. It's where my daughters were born, where one of them still living. I've got a lot of really good friends here. I've had some amazing experiences here, but again, it's just things are just changing around here. There's certain things are changing, and I don't necessarily agree with the philosophy, and so it's just time to get my own little piece of little heaven and just kind of hang out and spend the next 40 years just hunting and fishing and growing gun dog and whatever happens happens. I'm excited. I really am, because I've worked hard to get to the point where I can actually retire at a really early age. So it's pretty neat, and it's not really retiring because I'm gonna keep working. That's just who I am.
You're just not going to be a firefighter anymore. Yeah.
I've seen enough houses burned up. I've seen enough people.
Man.
So it's just, I've got I've got that. So no, it's time to move on and do some fun stuff and hang out with great guys like you and my other buddies over there, and maybe do some.
Hang out. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah, absolutely. No, we will definitely make that happen. It's, you are right. There's been, just in our area here, there's been a pretty massive influx of people, lots of folks from California. Holy smokes, it's people like yourself that are like, I don't agree with the direction things are going, so we're leaving.
Yeah.
And I always remind people, when you come here, you're a refugee, you got to keep that in mind. And and there's a reason that these places are the way they are, and so let's keep them that way, and Absolutely. But yeah, it's amazing the number of folks that are moving in from all over the country, and I can't blame them. I did it 12 years ago. Growing up in Michigan, it was the same thing. I was watching the place that I really loved change drastically, and I'm like, man, and that was 12 years ago. And I thought, I really want to live someplace that I can hunt the big game that I want to hunt, knowing that as a school teacher and a coach, I had to live where they lived. Otherwise it wasn't going to happen, because it's not like I'm going to take time off to go elk hunting in the fall as a school teacher.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like, yeah, I'm doing it. That was 12 years ago, and you never know what life has in store for you. You know, and I look at where I'm at now and I go, well, I didn't see that coming. You know, but you took it, you know, there was opportunities there, and I went, yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I had tons of people that were like, man, but look what you're leaving. Look what, you know, we got all this great goose hunting and all these, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, and we got steelhead fishing. It's just phenomenal and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, yeah, but I've done all that. Yeah. And I can come back and keep doing it if I want to.
Yep.
And exactly. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. And you can't be afraid to just sometimes just taking that leap, you know, and doing it, because I've always been in the mindset that you can do anything you set your mind to. And I've been really successful in life, and just everything who would ever thought that I would produce 2 TV shows when you're picking up a video camera and teaching myself how to film and edit, and all of a sudden teaching other guys how to film. And next, you know, I'm working with a professional television, you know, company teaching me how to put together professional TV. And it's just like, holy cow, how did I get into this? You know, and it all started by just guiding goose hunters and getting a video camera and saying, well, we kill so much stuff, I can capture this. And it's just crazy, you know, and meeting the right guys and networking. And people ask me all the time, how do you get in the industry? So, well, it's just hard work, being a nice guy, being humble. That's a big thing. Jerks don't really last very long in our industry. And, you know, being a nice guy, being honest, and just working hard. And I've been really fortunate to where I've ended up and where I'm still going. You know, I mean, my journey still, there's a lot of right roads ahead of me. So I'm really excited. You know, I got a really good goal of, I want to have a duck club someday. I want my own little duck club. So that's, it's like, I feel you should have goals in life. I think you should have like 1-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals. And one of my goals I've set for myself is to have my own little, when I'm 85 years old, you can push me out in my wheelchair and step in my blind. We can flip on the heater.
You could change the name from Gundog Outdoors to Geriatric Outdoors if that happens.
Seeing Eye Dog Outdoors.
There you go. Oh man. And I'm not poking fun at any old guys that are out there by any stretch, because man, I hope when I'm at the age that even my dad, who's not old by any stretch, he came out at Christmas and we got to do some hunting. It wasn't great. Birds were just not, it wasn't good hunting, but we had I shouldn't say that. It wasn't good killing. Hunting was phenomenal. I got to hunt with my dad, and he's still blessed to be, you know, he's still can do it, still can get around. I mean, good grief. There was one day we went out and I was scouting this spot on this creek. And I went out in the morning and it's like, there's no X. There's not even any place that you could really set up. And I looked at him and I said, pheasant season's still open. How do you feel about jump shooting some ducks? And he walked 6 miles that day along that creek with me. And we jump shot a couple limits of ducks and a couple of pheasants. It was like, that was our only option. You know, we didn't have anything else, but yeah, you could still go do that. And
still fun, still getting out and exercise and enjoying.
Absolutely.
And, it's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope to make it to geriatric.
Me too. Maybe the technological difficulties that I have will even themselves out by then, but we'll see. Oh man. Well, we're going up past that magical mark of an hour. I really appreciate this. Went fast, man. It really did. Even with the 2 glitches we had, I think we're going to be able to, well, not me, but my editor will put all this together and make an episode out of it. So anyway, I really appreciate your time. And dude, I'm excited to jump in a blind with you and see where we can go from here.
Oh, we're gonna have some fun. I promise you that. We're gonna have some fun. So maybe we can get together and get my ding dong daughter of mine on here one of these days.
That'd be fun.
She tells me I'm gonna come up and stay up here with you till they get some snow in Utah because I'm gonna go try and kill a cougar.
Yeah,
crazy.
You're gonna go shoot a mountain lion. Yep. Well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the thing,
so.
that's where we're at now. In 2 weeks, we're done. Waterfowl is completely done, and whether or not we get to go chase those whiteys, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But we definitely got turkeys on the horizon. But I'm looking at it going, I'm going to shoot a lot of raccoons and a lot of coyotes between now and when the fishing gets good. So, anyway, fun stuff.
Yep.
Well, dude, thank you very much, and I appreciate it. And I'm gonna hit the stop record button, and we'll call this one a wrap.